Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session. Good morning. Welcome to this session. My name is Georgina Washuka. I work with the KAM Secretariat in the Policy Research and Advocacy Unit, supporting regulatory compliance. We welcome you today to this particular session where we're targeting to capacity build our SMEs in terms of compliance and understanding how the key regulatory compliance agencies that they interact with as they do their day-to-day business, how our members can actually benefit from a learning session like this. So we are quite a number on the call, so we will not do an introduction of everybody, but I will be able to take you through our panelists for today. And the session for today is actually headed by our KAM Head of Consulting, Ms. Joyce Njogu, and our Director, Ms. Shiro Waidaka, who will be speaking on behalf of the association. And then we have our distinguished guests from the key agencies that have been able to join us for this call. So I will take you through the program for the day, where we shall have Ms. Joyce Njogu doing the opening remarks and welcoming our members on board. Then we'll have Ms. Shiro Waidaka, a board member at KAM, who will be give her keynote speaking notes. And then we will invite the panel discussion to join in. I will be moderating for the session. So we have representatives from KRA, two of them, that Mr. Julius Yeager from the chief, who's a chief manager and tax services and stroke MSME division at KRA. We have Ms. Susan Jeru, also from KRA, an assistant manager under stakeholder engagement unit in the domestic tax department. We have Mr. Joseph Gashanja from Kenya Bureau of Standards, product certification. We have Ms. Anastasia Vialu from the National Environment Management Authority, that's Nema. And we have Mr. Johnson Akongo from Nairobi County, the Department of Licensing. We have Ms. Elizabeth Njau from Nairobi County, who's a director in the Department of Trade. So those will be our presenters today. It's going to be a tight session. So as we go on, we will request participants to use the Q&A facility or the chat facility to raise any questions as the presenters go on. So without much ado, I welcome Ms. Joyce Njogu to open the session for us, and will be followed by Ms. Shiro Waidaka from our board. Welcome, Joyce.
Thank you, Georgina, and good morning to you all. I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Shiro Waidaka, Board Director at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and also the Chair for the SME Hub. Mr. Julius Yeager, who has joined us from KRA, the Chief Manager for Taxpayer Services, supporting the SME division. We have Susan Jero, Stakeholder Engagement Unit from KRA. We have Joseph Gashanja from KEBS, Product Certifications. We also have Anastasia Vialu, Senior Compliance and Enforcement Officer at Nema. We have Johnson Akongo, Director, Department of Licensing at Nairobi County Government. Also Elizabeth Njau from Department of Trade, Nairobi County Government. I also want to acknowledge all the members, KAM members, and other stakeholders that have joined us this morning. We are quite excited to host this forum. We are currently 96 and more joining, but we wish to start. I'm very excited personally to hold this session because we've always had a lot of engagements with SMEs, MSMEs, and requests for understanding on the regulatory environment. So with KAM, we are quite honored to host this regulatory environment session or bootcamp for the MSMEs, and we appreciate each one of you and the contributions that you're going to make here, either as a speaker or an attendee through the questions and the knowledge that we are going to share this morning. At KAM, we are keen on promoting competitive and sustainable local manufacturing. And this means that we leave no one behind when we talk about sustainability. SMEs being the backbone of the economy, they contribute about 40% of GDP to the Kenyan economy, but majority of them are quite informal or even very small, and their value addition very low. So some of them, the reasons could be the challenges of either setting up a value-adding business or a manufacturing business, or too many regulatory requirements that are quite costly for them. Hence, they opt for other simpler business opportunities, even though they are short-lived. At KAM, we are promoting long-term investments in this country, because that's the only way we create productive jobs that are there to stay, create wealth for our Kenyans, and at the same time, add value to the quality of life that we live here in Kenya. So we have so many businesses that are interested in working in this country and using the wide range of resources that we have, and even markets to have an impact in their own families and also with other businesses. As a result, KAM seeks to engage all stakeholders so that we create an enabling environment for SMEs to thrive, especially in manufacturing. Hence, we created the Manufacturing SME Hub and launched it in 2019 as a way of consolidating all our efforts that we have been doing in supporting SMEs to create an integrated support ecosystem, and thereafter support our SMEs. Hence, we have our Chair Shiro who will speak more on that. So for SMEs, the reason for this session really is to help SMEs who continuously struggle with compliance, with the various regulations, some of which they may not be aware of, some of which could be an opportunity that they have not harnessed, but generally it hinders their competitiveness and their ability to grow, expand, and generally thrive in this economy. So this bootcamp really seeks to highlight those various regulations that affect businesses, and particularly SMEs, so that they're able to rise to the occasion, comply, and begin to thrive. As an association, SME is a key priority agenda in all our plans, all our annual plans. We have demonstrated that SME support is key, and we have various programs to demonstrate that. They are our future, the future of industry, and not just in Kenya, but globally. So the SMEs generally are very creative, and we acknowledge their innovations. Within those innovations and great ideas comes the challenges of then how do they fit in within the regulatory space, and then without limiting their creativity or hindering their access to markets or how exactly they thrive as a business. So we are there to support them so that they can continuously create, innovate, and grow without much worry. So we are really interested in knowing through all these regulatory bodies, their contacts around who is a focus person for supporting SMEs, partnering with you to design programs that can help SMEs thrive without fear of growth or fear of accessing markets, so that they can be able to thrive as they do their business. They contribute a lot to the communities through their value chains, and they provide a lifeline to so many Kenyans. So we hope that through this workshop and webinar, we are able to engage the many SMEs that are here and create that confidence that the economy and the government and all the other stakeholders will harmonize all the policies, regulations, and standards that are available in the country. And where not available, we shall develop them so that SMEs can thrive at county levels, mashinani, grassroots, all the way to the national, even regional, as we tackle EAC and the African continent. So the requirements from the different agencies and the different governments, both national and sub-national, are really necessary for SMEs to understand and manage their operations and be able to grow. So we are so grateful for this time. And as I conclude, I wish to emphasize that we seek to support a competitive industrial sector in this country. as we take up the many opportunities available from the wide resources that we have. Most importantly, we are advocating for a very predictable and stable policy and regulatory regime so that SMEs can invest with a lot of confidence, knowing that it has long-term security in how they manage the investments and drive innovation. We urge you all to contribute meaningfully this morning and ensure that you are able to understand all the opportunities available from the regulatory regime, as well as any concerns that may be here. Thank you so much. And I'd like to invite our board director, Shiro Wawero, to speak. Thank you. Welcome, Shiro.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, we can hear you, Shiro.
Can I be heard loud and clear?
Yes, we
Perfect.
can.
What a fantastic morning. Thank you so much, Joyce and team. I shall just say all protocols observed, as we like saying in Kenya. Thank you for really highlighting the wins and where we need to go. Dear SMEs who are on the call, who are still at it, all I can say is what a wow. What a wow, we're still here. Dear Nduta, I know you had sent me some fantastic notes. And I think to make it a bit more engaging, we just speak to the truth. And sometimes I wish all those in the positions of power who create fantastic policies and enforce them could maybe
Shiro, we have lost you, your audio.
Hello?
Sorry, we lost you for a minute there.
Okay. So what I was saying was, I mean, all the facts are there, and it's almost like we press repeat each time. I must also acknowledge gains have been made, but we still have such a long way to go in understanding SMEs in this country. I believe a lot of the policies had been created some time back, may not have considered the today's SME, and today's SME being more the pandemic SME. Many on this group have pivoted since the pandemic started, whether they've gone into, vertical or horizontal integration. Others shut down like myself, restarted, found ourselves in new spaces, and literally the game has changed. My biggest concern is the regulation is not changing or evolving at the speed of innovation or innovative SMEs. I've always wished that maybe one day KRA, for example, or KEBS could spend a week interning with us to understand the real challenges on the ground. For example, I have a factory in Kikuyu, that's in Kiambu County. I have a showroom in Nairobi, Lavington. For me to even have any branding on my truck, which is called marketing, I then have to pay for both counties, right? We're just talking about just the marketing, just to have any branding, which we need as businesses for people to know who we are. If I'm then going to deliver my goods to Nakuru, which is what is encouraged to do inter-county trade, I still have to pay marketing in all those counties that I cross. If I'm going to make it all the way to Lodwar, you can do the math. Not only do I have to pay for that for each county, I then have to pay cess, amongst other things, including fuel, accommodation, etc. When we talk about it not being competitive, we're not just whining or comparing with China or any other developed country, so to speak. It just doesn't make sense. Every night I'm like, how is this math supposed to math? How are we supposed to create jobs if half the time or 3/4 of our resources that we make goes to paying for all these things? We do not want to pay. We do, but it almost doesn't make sense. And I wonder why. Is it because you're not wearing the shoes that we wear? Because we really need to figure out how to make this happen. For example, the beginning of the pandemic, I was there trying to struggle, keep alive, and buy raw materials, and my accounts were red in my bank. And I was so confused. I thought it was a technical error from a bank side. Lo and behold, it was our wonderful KRA who had put a notice. The shock in a pandemic. I've never had a notice put before by KRA, and my question was, now in a pandemic? And literally for 6 months, I couldn't access my account. And I just thought, surely, even if it means being completely inhuman, this is not the time. Not that we've ever not been compliant, but why during the pandemic? And these are questions nobody has been able to answer. And I'm talking about my personal experience. I know many, many others who've had the same unfortunate fortune of going through this, and it becomes a struggle to pull ourselves up. We want to continue working. We want to create jobs in this country against all the odds. But dear regulators, it has to make sense for SMEs, not because we don't want to, but because it's the only way we're going to create jobs. I know a lot has been done, but sometimes I wonder, are we negating what's been done? We talk about the SGR. I was in Mombasa the other day, and we're flying over the port, and it's fantastic to see all the containers on the high seas. Some unfortunately are stuck. We have supply chain delays. And my question to the team was, okay, so the SGR is here, whatever we think about it, but the containers come, they come inland, but they go back out empty. How is that even okay? Why aren't we even exporting enough to fill the containers that are going out? The reason is because we can't manufacture enough. We talk about value addition, fantastic, in your textiles, but the policies for even growing cotton seem to not exist anymore. And I don't know why. I really would love this to be a boot camp where we really dig deep, allow people to speak freely because it's time, and just figure out, because at the end of the day, a win for SMEs, I believe, is a win for Kenya. So I really would love this, Georgina and team, to be more engaging as opposed to me reading a speech. But let's speak from our hearts and find a solution, because we have this conversation a bit too often. And somehow, I don't know if we're not being heard, if it's not the right language we're speaking, and maybe we welcome them into our businesses for an internship for a week. Asante.
Thank you very much, Shiro. Thank you for those passionate remarks. We've been within the journey, we've seen you grow, we've felt the pain that you've just talked about. So, and from KAM, I think we'll always keep having this conversation until everything is set right, to see that we're able to grow our country. So I will not take much time. We'll dive into our presenters. And I can see Mr. Julius Yeager from KRA is already on the call, and will be followed by Ms. Susan Jero, also from KRA. The two presenters can share their presentation. They can bring it up on screen. I know it's going to be short, and I encourage our members to post any questions that they need, and please tell us who you want that question directed to. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. Let us mute our microphones when we are not speaking to make it easier for us to communicate. So, Mr. Julius Yeager, please, karibu sana. You can introduce yourself as you set up your presentation. Mr. Julius, you can hear us?
Good morning. Are you able to get me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Karibu sana.
Sorry, we had a bit of network challenges at the beginning, and I was not able to really join on time. Yeah, I want to say thank you so much to Kenya Association of Manufacturers for this opportunity that you've given to us, so that as KRA, we can also talk to the SMEs. And we are really very, very happy to talk to them this morning. And maybe for the sake of visibility, let me just remove my mask now so that I can be visible. We are saying that as Kenya Revenue Authority, we would really want to also see to it that the SMEs thrive. And being the one in charge of SMEs and at the same time in charge of giving capacity to SMEs, for us, this is a great opportunity for us to discuss. And I want to go straight to the point to say that I'm here as the head of Taxpayer Services. And I'll be joined by my colleague, the manager in charge of micro, small, and medium enterprises, Madam Susan Jeru, who I believe has logged on. We are in different locations, but I believe she's already on board. I want to say that when it comes to MSMEs, we would really want them to appreciate that as Kenya Revenue Authority, the most critical bit to us is that do they really appreciate their obligations? That is where we are coming from. First and foremost, we want to make sure that they understand their obligation. It's not just because of law, but it's also because when they understand their taxpayer obligations, it's going to be very easy for them to proceed and to do business as they progress. So one thing that I wanted to start from, I'm very happy the way the lady who has just left the screen has spoken, that kind of passion is also what we would really want to see, that as Kenyans, because everybody will, at the end of it all, become a member of the MSME. All of us are involved in it. And we would not want a scenario where even us who are in it are not getting that the tax laws are frustrating them. So as things are, we really want first to explain the role of KRA when it comes to MSMEs. So one thing for sure is that for our country to develop, and even for the MSMEs to do their businesses, they need a conducive environment. And that's why we say we pay taxes for a civilized society. The society can only be civilized if it is managed properly, if the rules are followed, if the business environment is clear, and that is when we can say that now our society is civilized. So allow me to take you through what first and foremost I would want us to be the point of discussion as we move forward. That one, all taxpayers, MSMEs included, first and foremost, they must be registered. And why is it that they must be registered? Registration as a taxpayer is what gives us your identity. So let's say that you're having a small business that you are running with. The most critical thing is for you to first and foremost register it. Register that. And registration means you have a given PIN. You can be a sole proprietor, you can be an individual, you can be a business, you can be a company. But the bottom line is, are you registered? Do you have an A PIN or are you having a P PIN? If it is a company, of course, it will be a P PIN. If it is an individual or a sole proprietor, it will be an A PIN. I want to believe that up to that point, we are clear up to that point. So the obligations of a taxpayer are four. The first one, as I've indicated, is registration. Once you are registered, then in the Kenyan law, from the KRA perspective, you are a taxpayer. Now, and during the point of registration, this is the time that you will also be given your obligations there. What tax heads are you supposed to be having at that point in time? One of them that is always important is what we call the income tax as an obligation within your registration. So you have a duty as a taxpayer of an MSME or of an individual to register. But once you registered, then the second thing that follows immediately is that you need to file your returns. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I'm clear up to that point. You need to file your returns. And for SMEs, we need to also clarify at this point in time, there are those SMEs that may belong to what we call the annual regime, that they only file their returns at the end of the financial year. Those ones need not file on monthly basis. Those are the people who we always tell that their due date is 30th of June the following year. Like now we are asking all MSMEs who are on annual regime to make sure that before the end of this June, they should have filed their returns. Filing returns simply means you are declaring that you've been doing this kind of business in this year, and this is what you have made. Either you've made profit or you've made losses. Now, apart from filing of your returns, which is the second aspect, is that you must ensure that those documents of yours that you are submitting to KRA are accurate and have the true information. That is what we are saying. You must declare correct information in your filing. And when you are filing, if you made losses or if you made profit, the final bit of it, ladies and gentlemen, which is the fourth item, is that you shall have made your payments. Now, those are very important. Those are very critical to our SMEs. So if you're in this place and you are an MSME or you are an individual doing small businesses, what we are saying is that make sure that those 4 steps are with you. Those 4 steps, you are in them. That is very fundamental and that is very critical. Now, I've said that during the COVID, and I'm very happy, I keep on referring to the lady who has just left, that when the pandemic came on board, MSMEs were heavily attacked. They were heavily impacted on negatively. And then what really happened when that happened? That the government decided to make certain decisions which were to ensure that the MSMEs remained afloat, that the MSMEs were not closed or they continued with their businesses. And I'm saying this and stressing it because some of us might have missed those opportunities. That even before the pandemic, we had we had requests from the SMEs. Some were saying that the annual regime of 30% of their profit was too expensive for them. That why could they be given a tax that was slightly simpler, a tax that was slightly friendlier, one that would not impact on them negatively. And that is what gave birth to turnover tax. And I want to appeal to the micro and small medium enterprises in this meeting that in the unlikely event that they have never understood this tax regime, we are here to support them. We are here to explain to them. We are even ready to explain to them. Even if you want us to come into your institution, if you want to invite us, we come physically, or if you want to come on board, we'll explain to you what it is. So these are very important that as we have the MSMEs, as we are talking today, be friendly to KRA. Know that KRA is here to support you. Know that KRA is the one that is meant to facilitate you. So do not do something which will make you have some doubts. Do not do something that is going to compromise your work. And it's also very important that I continue to explain when it comes to where we are with MSMEs. Let us say that you have a complaint against Kenya Revenue Authority, that certain things are not working right for you, that you have some obstacles, and there's a challenge that you have. Please, we are saying as Kenya Revenue Authority, call us, talk to us, write an email to us. And I want to share with you that email address. Why am I sharing it? That in case you have a challenge that you cannot call, you cannot come, you are very far off and you need assistance, you can write that email giving us exactly where you are so that we can access you, we talk to you, and we advise you. So the email account is DTD for Domestic Tax Department, D, letter D, letter T, letter D again, complaints as one word, DTD complaints at kra.go.ke. That will come to us and we'll talk to you. We will support you. We will take you through the tax laws, whichever ones that you're dealing with, whether be it VAT, be it excise, be it income tax, whatever tax head that you are involved in, we'll be there to help you. At this point in time, I do not know whether my colleague would want to add one word or not. Madam Susan, do you want to add something as we progress?
I think so. I think, hello, everybody. I hope I am audible.
Yes, we can
You're
hear
audible,
you.
yes, Susan. You are audible.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, so maybe I can just proceed. I think at this point, what I would like to add is just the issues around what KRA is doing to make it easier for MSMEs to comply. I think you have already taken us through what the obligations of MSMEs are. Maybe at this point, we should point out that when we talk about the requirement to register, it is a requirement to register for a PIN and also for other additional obligations. For example, if you do have employees and those employees get to the threshold of 24,000 a month, then you should register for pay as you earn and deduct. For VAT, of course, we know that the threshold is 5 million. And so you should register for VAT should you be making sales of excisable goods or services and you do get to that threshold of 5 million. And so we do recognize as KRA that one of the challenges that MSMEs may have is, especially in the inception, they usually have challenges perhaps with keeping up to date, for example, with the filing of their returns. And that is why the voluntary tax disclosure program was introduced. I think those of us who are here are aware of the voluntary tax disclosure program, because I know KRA has been undertaking a lot of publicity on the issue. If not, then the voluntary tax disclosure program is a 3-year program that allows an institution to declare income, and by an institution we mean both a person, which is an individual person, or a company or a partnership, to declare income that was previously undisclosed over the last 5 years, which is the period from 1st July 2015 all the way to 30th June 2020. And when you do register and make payment of the undeclared taxes, the previously undeclared taxes, then you get a remission on the interest and penalties. And for those who do have certain obligations such as pay as you earn and VAT, you do know that they could add up, and that it can add up to a significant amount. And so we do encourage MSMEs to take advantage of that voluntary tax disclosure program. It's in the 2nd year, and the remission is 50%. Last year, the remission was 100% on any interest and penalty on previously undisclosed income, any taxes related to that income. And so we are still in the 2nd year. We still encourage MSMEs to take advantage, because next year, then the amount will drop to 25%, the amount of the remission on interest and penalties. In addition to that, I think it is important for us to also mention that KRA has been undertaking certain measures to make it easier for taxpayers, because when we talk about tax trade facilitation, we're talking about also the simplification of tax processes, tax forms. I will just give an example of when it comes to the simplification of taxes, that Mr. Yeager has mentioned that it is possible for MSMEs to register under one of two regimes. And the first regime is the turnover tax regime, which is a simplified regime for MSMEs who are not involved either in the provincial who don't make rental income or don't provide professional services. And by professional services, I mean consultants and the like. So these are people who are engaged in trade, and the rate on that, the turnover tax is specifically for MSMEs with a turnover of between 1 million to 50 million, and the tax rate is 1%, and you pay 1% of the gross. And so what it does is that it eliminates the need to keep complex records, perhaps even the need to have an auditor or an accountant or a bookkeeper in-house, which may be a challenge for a young MSME. And then, of course, if you do provide certain services or have certain incomes that are exempt from turnover tax, I've already mentioned 2 of them, which is if your income is from, for example, rental income, or if you provide professional services, then you register under the annual regime. And while we do not have a specific regime, a specific tax break for MSMEs, what we do have is that MSMEs are only required, our CG says, that you pay not a shilling more, not a shilling less. So you only pay on the income that you have earned, which means that you are allowed to deduct any expenses that were incurred wholly and exclusively in the generation of that income. And then I think the Finance Bill 2021 also removed the cap on how long you can carry forward losses. And so, the MSME can carry forward losses. I think previously the cap was on 9 years, but now that has been removed. And so you can carry forward your losses until such a time as the business is making money. Also, that is the simplification, not just of the tax regime, but also the processes. So when we come to processes, we're talking about things such as the enabling of a filing of a unified return, a pay-as-you-earn return. Now you also file for the National Industrial Training Levy. There's even a rollout that is in the pipeline for a combined return for NSSF and NHIF. And of course, the intention is to make it easier for MSMEs to comply with their various statutory obligations. So those are some of the things, even the automation. I think it is important for us to mention before I give up the presentation position, that the TCC in and of itself is now automated. And so if you are an MSME or a taxpayer and you are up to date in the filing of your returns, then you get an automatic TCC. And so there are certain, not just the simplification of the tax laws, but also the simplification of processes is underway. And KRA, of course, is happy to receive feedback. I think forums such as this are important, not just for us to come and speak to our taxpayers and tell them this is what KRA requires, but also for us to receive feedback. So that
Sorry, Susan, you're breaking.
Government, the voices and the desires of our tax. I really hope you. Hello?
Sorry, for a minute there, we couldn't hear you, but
oh, okay. So I was handing over the seat, saying thank you, and handing over to Mr. Yega back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Julius, anything to add to your colleague's presentation?
Thank you, Madam Susan. Thank you, Madam Susan, for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, just as we mentioned earlier on, that I only wanted to stress on the bit that given that the manager in charge of MSMEs has spoken, I just wanted to add on the bit on matters to do with why is it that some of us don't feel very comfortable to approach Kenya Revenue Authority when it comes to matters tax. So I wanted to assure the MSMEs on board that please don't shy away from asking KRA for support. Don't shy away from that, because we are in it together. We really want you to come on board. Please call us. Don't see that as a bother. Call us. And then I also wanted to stress at this point in time, and I hope everyone has seen that email address I've given. I'm saying that in the unlikely event that you have a complaint and some of you are shying away from letting us know who you are, please write to that email address. And please never shy away. Just come. We are based at Samia Business Park along Mombasa Road. This is where I'm talking from. Yeah. And in the unlikely event, and this is very serious for us, in the unlikely event that as an MSME, because you're just a startup, you're starting, and there are people who are frustrating your efforts to make it in life, please. And in the unlikely event that those people happen to claim that they are KRA employees, please call us. Please inform us. It is important. Integrity issues are now being taken very, very seriously by Kenya Revenue Authority. So let nobody come to you as a startup. Let nobody come to you even as an established a business telling you that I'm from KRA. If you visit the KRA website on www.kra.go.ke, and you are on that website of Kenya Revenue Authority, it gives you an opportunity to be able to vet or staff verification. You can verify that is Julius Yega, a real employee of Kenya Revenue Authority. So if somebody was to come to you with complaints, somebody would come to you with harassment, just ask them to give you their ID number. Once you type in that ID number and on that bit on staff verification, the message will come back to you immediately, indicating to you that Mr. So-and-so is from Kenya Revenue Authority. This is his rank. This is where he is. And is an employee in charge of the following. Now, these are messages that we feel so important to share with you because you deserve them. And at the same time, allow me to mention something else that maybe some of you are not aware of. Because I noted last week when I was addressing the SMEs Big Baraza in Westlands, I realized that most of MSMEs do not or are not aware that the government of Kenya created a guarantee scheme where you can always go for those soft loans. It is called Credit Guarantee Scheme, CGS. You can Google, you will be able to see that even if you Google now, Credit Guarantee Scheme. That is very important for you. And those are the things that the government is only able to do that for you because of the revenue that KRA is collecting from you. So if you do not declare, if you do not pay your taxes, if you don't meet your obligation, if you don't really pay your taxes, you can see how difficult it will be even for such to be funded. Those are things that are important because we realize that people don't know. At the same time, we conduct taxpayer education virtually, almost daily. And in case you want to know that, please write to us. Just say that you want to be brought on board. We'll get in touch with you and we will attend virtually. We are soon going to start physical meetings as well. And this is spread all over the country. By the way, we are talking about KRA in all corners of the country. We are not just talking about here in Nairobi. And we have all branches in KRA in all the 47 counties. So please, it is important that that is brought to your attention. So I've told you about integrity. I've told you how you can call. I've also mentioned to you how you can actually blow a whistle. In KRA, we're calling it a whistle. In the unlikely event that your neighbor, who is your competitor, is doing underdealings, that is making it not easy for you to cope, not easy for you to be marketable, please report. And when you report, and KRA happens to recover revenue from that, you will be paid a percentage, you'll be given a reward up to a maximum of 5 million Kenya shillings. That is something that is in place. Those are the policies that we have put in place to ensure that you as SMEs are able to make it in life and are able to survive. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, without taking much of your time. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Julius, and thank you, Susan, for those presentations. My colleague Nduta will be reaching out to you to get some notes on the same because our SMEs would also want to take time to read and understand the discussions that we are having. But I'd like you to mention something on iTax and if there is any facilitation which KRA would consider in terms of offering, say, tax holidays for startups. And of course, if there are any specific plans that SMEs can benefit from, apart from what you have mentioned, in terms of just encouraging them on compliance. Just those 3 points, and then we can move to our next presenter, Mr. Joseph Gashanja. Julius or Susan, any can respond.
Susan, can you check on that?
Yes, sure I can. Yes, sure I can. So currently there is no existing tax holiday because it is not in law. We cannot speak to the future to say whether that is something that will be passed. What I can encourage MSMEs is first to when you are registering for your PIN, because what happens is that a lot of MSMEs, when they're registering for their PINs, is that they may, for instance, go to a cyber. And when you are in the cyber, you will be asked several questions. For example, you may be asked by the attendant, do you have employees or do you want to start, do you want to hire people? And then you say yes, how many employees? You say 5. Maybe they'll say, what is your projected turnover? And so what happens is that sometimes in registration, you register for obligations that you really shouldn't have had. And when I say shouldn't have had, I mean that while you could voluntarily, for example, register for VAT, we find MSMEs often register for certain obligations when they have not reached the threshold. For example, VAT has a threshold of 5 million. And so once you are a registered person, you are actually required to charge VAT, deduct, and remit the same to KRA. And so what I encourage MSMEs is, should you not be sure and you are registering for your PIN, please come to our KRA office, even come to our office, near Business Park, we are there on 4th floor, so that you are able to be guided. Because like we said, you could, for example, add an obligation like VAT, and you have that, and once you have it, you are required to now charge and remit the VAT, but yet you haven't gotten to the threshold which requires you to register. And so I encourage MSMEs to just be aware that that option does exist, that you have the option to maybe grow your business before you add on that. If you have employees, for example, who have not reached the threshold, then you have the obligation of pay as you earn. You're required to file a nil return until such a time as you actually have pay as you earn to deduct. And so this is what leads to those penalties that we're talking about, that over time add up to a significant amount. And so if you do find yourself in such a situation, then we encourage you to take advantage of the voluntary tax disclosure program. I think you had inquired what can MSMEs do to enhance their compliance. I also want to say Mr. Yega did mention that we do conduct webinars, training, and I encourage you to write to KRA seminar at kra.go.ke. Right now we are conducting return filing webinars, and so we are helping MSMEs, and we are doing it sector-wise, so various sectors. I know last month we had trainings for agriculture and for real estate. And so what we are doing is we are taking you through the return. This is how you file your return. This is what counts as an allowable deduction. So just that assistance, KRA does provide it, and we do have webinars. And it's not just a webinar where we speak, we actually do have even the return filing webinars. And so we are trying to make it easier to comply. I do know sometimes that some people see a KRA email, in their inbox, and they are avoiding it. But we are trying to reach out to you to make it easier for you, perhaps, to do some of these things and therefore enhance your compliance. So while we may not have a tax break currently in the law, it does not mean that you cannot benefit from the existing avenues to assist you to enhance your compliance. I know you did request for the presentation that we have. We do have a presentation that we make. I think that maybe this sort of engagement may be more engaging, and people are, maybe more open to this engaging, other than when you're just seeing something on screen. But we do have an MSME presentation that we will share, that you can circulate to the members that are here.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Julius. I think that's good information, especially that part where we need to guide the SMEs in terms of when they're registering for their files, so that they don't get into trouble over places that they are not yet there yet. Attendees, participants, please be encouraged to write your questions, and our panelists will respond as we go on. We now invite Mr. Joseph Gashanja from Kenya Bureau of Standards. I know our speakers, we are working on limited time, so if we can squeeze in to see if we can do our presentations within 10 minutes. Julius, you can come on board, but please, anyone be encouraged to communicate through the chat box so that we can manage our time for this session. Welcome, Joseph from Kenya Bureau of Standards.
Thank you very much. I hope all of you can hear me well. I'm told there is a little time to work on. I think I'll first appreciate what I've heard from my speakers, the ones who have been there before, and I think we are getting somewhere. Without wasting time, I would like to share a document which we can go through very fast. Are you there? Can you see me now? If you can't see this document, let me know.
Not yet. We can't see your presentation, Joseph.
Oh.
You can retry again.
Sharing screen. I'll try again. Try one more time. If it does now, I don't know what to do.
Yes, now we can see your presentation. You can put it in full screen mode and you can proceed.
Thank you. Can you sit now? Are you there? I hope you can see. If you cannot see, let me know.
Yes, we can see it now. Please proceed. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to speak very, very few. Keeps in brief, product certifications, what happens when there is a suspension, revocation of standardization mark permits, and challenges and way forward. Maybe not much about because time. I'll go straight to our objectives. Our key objectives in KAMS is there are many, but these are the main ones, especially to the SMEs. Number one is facilitation of trade through standards. I mean, standards are specifications. That is why you hear this is not meeting the standard. This is quality, this isn't, and so on. Number two is protection of consumers against substandard products. Once the products have been then the consumers are protected. Then there is obviously the protection of the environment for the sustainable environment. And I believe that is what we are doing here. SMEs, drivers to the economy. We will not be at 2030 without SMEs. It is, somebody has spoken of, we just saw how many ships are docking and offloading at the port. We also export, but we do in minimal quantities. Perhaps we have not reached a threshold whereby we can balance the imports and the exports. In KAMS, you'll find the following services. There is standard development and harmonization, product certification, there's testing facilities, that is the laboratories, there's maintenance of the equipment, that is the units. We call this department metrology. There is system certification, those who would like to be certified to quality management system like what you have, the ISO 9001, and so on. Enforcement of standards, that is inspection and market surveillance. And education and training in standardization methodology and conformity assessments. We'll come to it quickly because we want to know why do we have product why do we not actually people to go ahead and manufacture these products and advance the market? Because we are mandated by CAP 496 of the laws of Kenya to do or carry out product certification, and that's where I am. What is product certification? I would like to educate. This is what we educate whenever we go out, and more so the SMEs. It's a means by which a third party provides assurance that a product conforms to specified standards. There must be some specification somewhere which says if you are manufacturing, producing, let's say, fried peanuts or groundnuts, and you put them in the market, peanut butter, honey. I know this is where we have more when it comes to SMEs. So there is a specification, and we have the specifications ourselves, which says how it should be, what tests to be carried out on it, how the facility should be, where you are putting it, and finally we give you a standardization mark permit, meaning that you have or you're passed, or your product has passed the minimum requirements. That's what we are saying. Why third party, first party or second party? Usually say that there are production facilities which can demonstrate that they have laboratories and everything else, and that which goes out is only from a production line. And you've heard them talk of even things like recalls. You can recall your product when it doesn't meet requirement because you have established maybe further in your laboratory that it does not meet requirements. That's the first party. It is a manufacturer certifying his products. It can happen, yes, for large organization, yes. Then there is the second party. The second party is your product, and when they pass, I will make an order that you supply me. Those are second parties. But here we are, we come between the manufacturer and the consumer. Here we are talking that if you go to a supermarket today, you will not find the manufacturer there. He is in his production site, but you'll find the products. And that's why we are saying as KEBS, we come in to say that this product which you're about to purchase in a kiosk, in a supermarket, or any other retail outlet for that matter, is certified to a particular standard. And that's why we it is not getting into your brain why we are talking of third party. Okay. It is a means of demonstrating that a product, process, or service is certified the standards, which is specific requirements. And this simply puts, when I tell me, it's called fitness for use. Whether the product needs fitness for use specification, that's all. For basic definition of what we are talking about standard. Then what standard we are talking about? Because where are they placed? Where can I find them? You find them in our standards resource center at Kenya Bureau. That's you can assist, you get one. You can log into our website. I'll give you it's there at the bottom right of your page. It's www.kebs.org. You find standards resource center and you can assist with that. Also, we have also other points of contact. Then we have the hierarchy of standards. We start with the East African standards. We understand that we are the East African region. Even we have a national anthem. I believe also always here after our national anthem, there is East African national anthem. We are a community, and the reason why we have the East African standard, the EAS, as the first line of standard, looking at the specification, the first check whether we have East African standard before even coming to the Kenyan standard. Why? Is because I'm trying for you, if we certify your product under East African, have market access within the East African region. So don't just look at Kenya or Nairobi for that pass as your market. You can take your wares from here, market them in Arusha, you can market in the when you go to Uganda, you can still have access for them. We also have Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan, and now there is a new guy coming in board called DRC. Why I'm saying so, it's not just for the sake of mentioning the names of those countries. It is because if I give you a permit to use a standardization mark, normally this is like a quick to access those markets. And that product should go without testing. There is noise somewhere, please. Mute your mics, please. And that's it. Now, what are these standardization marks? It's a permit that I will give you. This permit will be used on your product. This permit will be used on a label on your product. And that is why we have like several marks we have. And right, the top right, the top left, the one that I'm calling the standardization mark permit. That you find in almost all products that are locally manufactured within the country. I'm saying almost, not all of them. Some of them don't have them. They have an exemption letter. We don't do like handiworks, print works. We do not certify. But most of the products made in Kenya, they will have the SM hash and a permit number that I will give. or we will give as product certification unit. We'll give you a unique permit number for your unique product, which you will display on the label. And that means that that permit, that product has gone through our hands. It will be used within the East African community as a demonstration of certification. That is the one we call SM hash permit number. I'm saying that because it is the order with which you are supposed to display on your label when you come to label. And if you look at the top page, there is SMS 20023 of caps. So if I have to do that, SM hash, I press the number I've given you and then I post to 2023. Should give me back the certification status of that product. I hope you're getting somewhere. If you have a question, I will answer during question and answer time. Next one on the same level is the import standardization mark. Normally, the import standardization mark is the one we use whenever there is imports. That's the big imports when they arrive, like somebody has said, there are so many that are docking in. That is where we have to strip them and attach that label when for it to have been certified. Why this care? And it is not this country. It is because we have partners out there who I think they are always coming on board. We finish their contract and then we do a who do this because we cannot replicate the KEBS offices all over the world. Then there is food fortification logo. That logo is for some products. We come to them very quickly. Some food products. And then we have the diamond mark. Diamond mark is for those who like. It's the same as the SM, but at an advanced scale. Just understand it. That those people would like to stand taller than the others in the market. We have a product called the Diamond Mark Permit. That is it. These are just the benefits of what we do product certification. Just to provide confidence to consumers, regulators, industry, and other interested parties, to raise quality and awareness in the local market, and to facilitate trade, as I said there, market access, for instance, the East African community I've talked about, fair competition, and raise consumer acceptance of goods at national, regional, and international. That's why I was talking about. Don't just look at Kenya, open the market. I am glad there is an organization in Kiproba, which actually I think should be here to tell us what they are doing in trying to market our products also. Kiproba, that is. And then to raise efficiency and level of quality of products by manufacturers so that they can favorably compete out there tomorrow in the region and the international market. That's what we're talking about. This that we are holding on to so that I can give you this product. This is basically what the process may be, what we do when we are giving you the product, the permit which you are earning, the permit to use certification mark, which will be used by our supermarkets and everyone else. I was to talk about the FFL because that's why I skipped it. That is the monetary scheme for wheat flour, maize flour, and the boil.
Excuse me, Mr. Gashanja.
Yes, you want to say something?
Yes,
Hello?
sorry, but I don't. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think your sound keeps getting difficult to hear. We cannot hear you very clearly, though I know you had given us a disclaimer. Is there a way you can try to improve that? Maybe he can switch off his camera. Sorry, somebody's giving us a suggestion.
Yes,
this is the time. Maybe Joseph, you can switch off your camera. That's you only work on your screen. It will make it slightly better.
Okay, I've done that.
Yeah.
I'm saying, okay, sorry to take you back. Maybe I'm going more quickly than should. I was saying that the SMARC is a mandatory certification scheme for all local manufacturing products. But there are exemptions, and they are listed there even in our website. An example of exemptions are handicraft and also print work. In the print work, the print media like magazines, books, we do not certify. All other exemptions are products that are already certified by other government authorities. Here we are talking of pesticides, we are talking of human medicine, for instance. We do not duplicate that. We are also talking here of fresh products. We do not certify. But when you package them, ready for a supermarket, then we come in and we will certify them. Then we have talked of the products that require an additional mark called food fortification. This mark we administer as KABs on behalf of the Ministry of Health. These are wheat flour, maize flour. They must have zinc or vitamin A, 2 of them, at least 2 of them. And then there is edible oil, which we will require you to have. This is the cooking oil we are talking of. We have vitamin A. The Ministry of Health that we are mapped by them as our children don't have these trace elements, that is the main component and the vitamins. And they found that the best carrier would be wheat and also edible oil. That means most of the farmers purchase and have them. And that's where they have now to dose them as fortificants and have them out as such. It's a requirement under the law to have them when you are doing the flour, the maize flour, and the edible oil. It may not, but these are millers, I talk for millers. So if you take your portion mill there and do something we call composite flour, it may not be a requirement. Thank you. The test plus testing, that is it. Then come to something which many of us would like to hear, especially for the SMEs. These are questions which we get every day. How much do you charge? How do you go about it? For a manufacturer or supplier to use KABS quality marks, a permit has to be issued by KABS. This is how we charge them. Application using prescribed forms. They are there even on our website. And now I'm glad that we are trying to roll over. From next week, we should be able to roll over. You can make an application without coming to KABS office through the. We are about it. That's what I mean. Application use prescribed forms. Those with a turnover of up to 200,000, you will pay 10,000 for 3 products. Each additional products is 10,000. It's like buy one, get 2 the first time. We are encouraging them not just to have 3. We are looking at it like somebody who is doing jugu karanga, like groundnuts. Could also be doing like peanut butter. It could also be doing, like I said, honey. These are the kind of people we are. But don't just try one product and we'll give you with a minimum fee of 10,000. This is also attractive VAT. And then it's a 2-year permit. So we are issuing now we are issuing permits for the year 2024 expiry. You see, it's a time. Then we have people with between 200 and 500,000 turnover. The same, we get 20,000 now for the first 3 products, 10,000 for each addition. Above that, we consider you at large. And when we consider
I think Mr. Gashanja has dropped off. You will need to reconnect. But if there are any questions, you can still post them there, and we'll ensure that he's able to share the presentation. The network of where he is very unstable. So I see Shiro, you had raised your hand. Any comments you want to make so far? Go ahead, Shiro.
Hi, thanks. I think they're just fantastic conversations. It's a pity about the audio. It'd be wonderful if they could also send the presentations as you have guided. And all I was saying was earlier, it's fantastic to hear what's being done, continues to be done, but I'm not hearing anything from any of the regulators that is taking into consideration of the new business environment that we're in, not just in Kenya, but globally. You know, a lot of this we can read off the website, to be honest. We've heard it before, but I'm just challenging them to come with something different. It's not that we're afraid of the authority. We're just trying to juggle and pay salaries we can't even afford to pay, right? And we don't want to lay people off. So already we're dealing with that, right? So it's not that we're afraid. We know what we need to do, but we need to meet halfway, because that's what the world has done for other businesses. Look at Rwanda now. It's buzzing. It's a hive of activity, right? Most people are going there. We don't have to want to lose amazing entrepreneurs to other countries around Africa, especially with the Pan-Africanism now. So I really would wish that the next time we have these kind of conversations, it is actually taking into cognizance that it is business unusual. Everything we've heard has been business as usual. We're aware, but we're hurting. And I really would love the authorities to come to the table now with a fresh eye, and really, really not repeat what was pre-pandemic, but let's co-create solutions going forward for both. We need each other. We need the regulators as well as they need our taxes, right? We're aware of this, but nobody seems to be understanding that it's not business as usual, it's business as usual. Thanks.
Thank you, Shiro, for those comments. I see he's not yet able to get back on board. And thank you, the KRA team. I see you've been responding to the questions online. So participants, please keep pushing in your questions. And like our director, Shiro, has guided, we should look for more specific engagements just to understand the nitty-gritties, the details of how actually SMEs can find their space in this regulatory, this challenge in regulatory regimes to ensure they survive. So he's not yet on, but we can pause his presentation for now, hopefully that he'll come back and also share it in a more clearer manner. But I can welcome Ms. Anastasia Vialu. If you're ready, you can go on. Apologies for that. We have to pause for the KEP's presentation. Nduta, you can please go behind the scenes and see if we can be able to sort that out. But Anastasia, we can pick you up for the next presentation, kindly. Miss Anastasia from Nema. Okay, we seem not to get Anastasia also coming in. We have representatives from the county government, Mr. Johnson Akongo and Miss Elizabeth Jao, so that we can manage time. If the county team is ready to present, I would rather give them the opportunity to come on board than waste time as my colleague tries to sort out the other panelists. So Johnson Akongo, karibu. If you can hear us, kindly just say hello. Johnson? Elizabeth?
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Elizabeth. It seems like one of those days when network is playing on us. So I'm juggling between yourselves.
Yeah, I could start, although I will talk about SME development, and
Yes.
Johnston will talk about regulations that includes licensing, the various types of licensing, and how they arrive at the categories of licensing.
Okay,
So
thank you.
for trade and enterprise development, our role, our function actually is to grow and support that micro enterprise and probably small enterprises, given the definition that is given by the Small and Micro Enterprise Authority. Now, our approach is through clusters. You know, approaching an individual will be really difficult if you want to support them, but we go through clusters, and we do this in collaboration with the development partners, other state agencies. So, for example, we are targeting what is actually guided by the Vision 2030, the clusters in leather, textile, juakali, that is metalware, and wood value addition. So, for example, we started with leather. The cluster we are looking at is Karioko. Although it is not specific just to Karioko, we are talking about leather producers or leather value adders within Nairobi City County. So the approach we've taken is that we've partnered with the State Department for Industrialization and the State Department for Livestock to help production of quality products. And I think we are all aware that Karioko does school shoes. They do boots, the soldier boots for manufacturing, and baskets, among other things. So we've done a new go down, because when you look at Karioko market, it's quite deplorable. So we've done a new go down, then partnered with Kenya Leather Development Council to come in with new machines, modern machines, and this comes along with training from KLDC, so that we are able to be competitive in the market. Because besides talking about regulation, I think the first and second speakers talked about quality. So we are after quality, and then how do we link them up with the market? So the leather cluster is about to open. We have the machines already installed. So we are waiting for the State Department for for livestock to clear up, and we launch this project. With regards to textile, we are targeting Jogoo Road Market, and this is a project that was started in 2018. You might ask why it has taken so long, but we started with research and development because we want to start from a point of information. What are the gaps and how can we fill it? So there's a research and process that was initiated by the SME Advisory Office of the President, and we've already bought machines, because you're looking at, we already have those micro enterprises that are already producing uniforms, for example. But what is their target market? They have a very big opportunity looking at the number of schools in Kenya. In Nairobi itself, not even going outside the county. But you cannot compete with other goods. So we are collaborating with NITA for training, and the Technical University of Kenya for training of these people. And in consideration also, and I think we've not spoken about this, is the out of school youth, people who have completed schools, they've finished schools. How do we rope them in this industrialization sector? So we've bought machines. We are in the process of setting up a go down, and because of lack of space, we are looking at we cannot wish them away because there's no space. So we are doing containerized facilities to put those machines. But there has arisen a question as to how do we not kill the already existing businesses. Government does not do business, but we've brought in machines. How do we compete with these people? I mean, not really competition, but how do we not kill the existing enterprises, because our machines are free, given by the government, but we want to charge a fee such that it is competitive with the ongoing projects in the textile industry. So we are targeting Uhuru Market, Jogoo Road Market, and these common user facilities, that is what we're calling them, will have a mode of operation, because they have to be self-sustaining. A machine cannot break down and look at the client, who is our customer, to repair it. But what is this minimal fee that you're going to charge in these common user facilities for sustainability, but not for profit for anybody? So these are accessible to the general public, but we'll have a modality of how to identify the users. Then another cluster we are considering is Juakali Metal in collaboration with the State Department for Industrialization and SEA. And finally, the wood cluster. So we've started with leather. With leather, it's almost complete. We've also started with the textile industry as we move on every financial year. I know we are constrained with finances. That is why you're not picking them all at a go. Then when it comes to training, we involve KEPROBA, the then Export Promotion Council. I know we've not really partnered with KEPROBA yet, because we are still young in the project, but definitely when production starts, we are going to rope in KEPROBA. And because of what I've had in this conversation, I have put in our list that we are going to be involving KRA, and of course we have our department for licensing because of regulation. Then another thing we are doing is training and capacity building. These are field extension services. We've been going out there with partners or even us alone, looking at what these SMEs are doing on the ground. What kind of trade are they carrying out? What production activity are they doing? Then we try to train them, to link them up with the market. And this is majorly done through sponsorship to trade exhibitions and trade fairs, both local and international. And you find they're doing very good market. Then maybe it is at this juncture, then we will start involving KRA during identification of these micro enterprises, so that they can demystify these KRA. They are coming to ask for taxes that they think are not reachable to them. But they fail to understand that that little 50 bob you're giving every day, that 20 shillings amounts to more than what they'd have paid for a license, a single business license, or even the KRA taxes. So during our trainings, maybe we could now involve KRA for periodic visits and publicity and awareness. Then maybe finally I could talk about a policy and bill to support SME financing. We know very many people start enterprises in production, in trading, but they don't meet even the third month because they don't have the requisite seed money for development and growth. So we have a policy. We had actually set aside some 200 million in the current financial year, but we didn't have a legal framework governing its operationalization. It is in the assembly, but I think it's been overtaken by time. So we have to wait for the next regime and kickstart it all over again. I wish to stop my presentation there. It was verbal. I didn't have a written presentation, but I can always share my notes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Elizabeth. And I'll take it to your colleague. I think some of the areas that we wanted your team to address was what the licenses that SMEs actually need to have. How do they go about their online payment to ensure compliance, and maybe something about the inspectorate. I hope our next speaker can speak to that. But thank you, Elizabeth. We'll also be reaching out to you for your notes to share with our members. I know there's a bit of network also connection. We also could hear a bit of noise in your background or something, then we can share. So if Mr. Johnson Akongo is ready, you can take the floor. Mr. Akongo, are you ready? Are you able to hear us? We can see you, but we can't hear you. So check your audio, please. Your audio. We still cannot hear you, but we can see you, Mr. Akongo.
I'm trying to troubleshoot with him.
Okay.
Hi, Georgina.
I think we can also give Akongo some time. I know this is looking disorderly, but we can have Mr. Gashanja. You can maybe, are you able to come back and finish the presentation? So that we
yes, I can do that. I can do that very quickly. Sorry for that. I hope now you can hear me.
Yeah, this is much better.
Okay. Can you see my board?
The presentation is on. You can go into.
Or if not, that we can discuss. If you.
No, you can go to full screen. We can see your presentation.
It's okay. In fact, I was adding it here. I was just talking of the days. And I talked of the up to certification decision is 56 days. It's too long a time. That's why I told people to come early enough to make, we start just at the onset of the production. Let's engage. That's what I advise. Let's engage at the onset of your production, because 56 days will translate to almost 8 weeks. It's a long time. You want it fast. And I've said again, we are partnered with KENAS to try and reduce these 21 days of testing, because our laboratories cannot handle everything you get. That's where we are, and I hope we will be there. Otherwise, other than that, I think I'll talk again during question and answer time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gachanja. I think you will share the presentation and we will share your contacts for further clarity. We had quite a challenge in getting your audio. Mr. Akongo, are you able to finish the county presentation?
Now, can you hear me now?
Perfectly. This is better.
This is better.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Johnson Akonga Buori. I'm the County Director Trade License in Nairobi City County. My presentation is going to cover 3 areas. And the first one is Nairobi County laws and the various licenses and permits that the manufacturing SME should comply with. Secondly, I'm going to do a presentation on use of online payment process on licenses. Then number 3, the role of city inspectorate to ensure compliance of the same. So let me first of all start with the various licenses and permits that the manufacturing SME should comply with. Depending on the type of business, we have 2 mandatory permits which SMEs should have. And the first one is single business permit that is issued by Trade Licensing Department. The second one is fire compliance certificate that is issued by Fire Department. The rest, so the remaining 3, and that is a food hygiene, food handler certificate, and liquor, depends on the nature of business. And these are issued by various departments. For example, the food hygiene license is issued by public health, same to food handler certificate, and the liquor license is issued by liquor department. Now, coming to Nairobi County laws, the single business permit is regulated by Nairobi City County Trade License Act of 2019, which provides for the grant of trade license within Nairobi County and for connected purposes. The single business permit is also guided by Nairobi County Finance Act of 2022 for the various fees and charges. On the fire compliance certificate, it is guided by Nairobi City County Finance Act 2022, which provides for the various fees and charges. The department is in the process of enacting an act to regulate the issuance of fire compliance certificate. On food hygiene, it is for hygienic standards of the premises where food is sold, and it is regulated by Cap 254 of the Food, Drug, and Chemical Substance of the laws of Kenya. Then we have a food handler certificate, which is for the staff medical certificates. It's guided by the same act that regulates food hygiene license. When it comes to liquor license, it is for all the businesses that sell liquor or alcohol within Nairobi City County. And the reason why we issue liquor license is to regulate the businesses of selling liquor in terms of one, whether the business meets the quality standards. I mean, whether the business meets the quality standards, and we also look at the environment in which the business operates, then the hours of operation of the business, then we also regulate the noise pollution from loud music being played in the bar or hotel. Then on the use of online payment process on licenses, just as I've said, we have 5 permits, and I've said that the first one is single business permit, fire compliance certificate, food hygiene certificate, food handler certificate, and finally the liquor license. It is only the single business permit that we have the online payment platform, and the rest, the fire, the food hygiene, the food handler certificate, and the liquor, all these are done manually because they are subject to inspection by officers in their respective departments. So on the online payment process of single business permit, we have a system that is called NRS. And for an individual customer to pay for his or her license online, you just need to go to https://Nairobi services, those are small letters, .go.ke, or download the Nairobi e-services app from Google Play Store and install it. Then the second step is that you click on create account and choose individual for an individual account. or NB, individual accounts are related to human persons or sole proprietorship businesses. Then step number 3, you enter the following details. Number 1, ID type, in bracket citizen or alien. Then number 2, ID, serial number. Then number 3, KRA PIN. Number 4, correct answer to the security question. Then number 5, mobile number, in bracket if different from the one pre-populated. Then number 6, you enter the preferred password. Then step number 4, you enter the one-time OTP sent to your phone to validate your phone number. Then step number 5, you will get something like congratulations, your account has been successfully created. Then step number 6, you log into your accounts, which you have created with your KRA PIN or ID number to enjoy the Nairobi City County government services. E.g., you can pay for street self-checkout, you can pay for seasonal parking, you can also apply for SBP, and then you can also apply for health, though it is not fully developed as at now. Then on the role of city inspectorate, I want to be a little bit brief on the role of city inspectorate to ensure compliance. What they do is to ensure compliance with the regulations laid down in all the permits and certificates which I've just mentioned. Then number 2, they ensure that the business operates as per the conditions laid down on the permits or licenses. They also ensure that they also confirm that the fees and charges which the business has paid for those permits are correct and they are the right one for that particular business. Then they also ensure that the alcohol which the bar, for example, which the bar sell alcohol is as per the factory packs in bottles. For example, of 3 millimeters, for the quantity should not be divided into smaller portions. For liquor as well, they also confirm whether they are operating within the time stated on the permit. Okay, that is what I had for today. I didn't have a written presentation, but I'll prepare one and send to Madam Duta. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ogongo, short and precise. Thank you for that presentation. As we get to the last presentation, and then we can have enough time for now having our members or having an interactive session for the panel. I would like to also hear something from the Nairobi County, especially with regards to the food handling certificate. We've had quite a number of challenges raised where people are able to come to the county offices and they pay for this, but they don't get the certificates. This is due to some various reasons which are given there. One being that sometimes the capacity is not there for the county facility to do this, or they are lacking some materials, some reagents to conduct the tests. I know we have had previous conversations with the county where we had actually discussed the possibility of allowing people to use other facilities outside those of the county. This is something we'd still want to pursue and explore just to make it efficient for these people to get the certificates in good time. And then we'll look forward to that step-by-step detailed presentation on how to get that online interaction with the county offices. Under the inspectorate, I think one of the challenges we have is that we sometimes encounter challenges in validating the officers who visit business premises. We've had sessions where we've been given the names of the officers, but this is a fast world, so people keep changing jobs. And it is something, maybe, I don't know whether this can be done online, or how can we improve this, identification process for the inspection officers. And also a peculiar one where sometimes we get encounters at odd hours or days. I know this used to be very rampant in the past, but it has reduced. But we still have a few times or incidents where you see the county people pushing you to the spot on a very tight timeline for compliance. So, those are some of the challenges that we would like to hear, so that our SMEs can also take note and be able to improve on. You can comment on those, and then we'll prepare for our last presenter, and then collectively we can have a Q&A to all the presenters. Kindly, I request the other presenters, please stay on board so that we can be able to take in questions from the participants. So Johnson, as you wind up, please, I would like to hear something on the issues I've raised, the 2 points or 3 points I've raised, and then we'll pass it on to the Environment Agency. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Madam Washuka. Are you still able to hear me?
Yes, you're very clear.
Yes, thank you, Madam Washuka. As far as the issue of printing of permit is concerned, it's not capacity per se, capacity to handle the number of customers. What has happened is that we have had problems because, the license printing portal was contracted by Nairobi County to National Bank of Kenya. But what happened is that I'm meant to understand that the National Bank of Kenya, they got a directive that they should not continue printing the permits for the county. So, and the National Bank also subcontracted the same to another service provider. So because of those complications, now we have not been able to print the permits for our customers who had already paid, because now the National Bank of Kenya decided to disable our single business permit printing portal. But I'm meant to understand that they have now been allowed, they have now been paid. I think the issue of also payments also played a major role as far as the issue of printing of permits are concerned. So I'm meant to understand that last week they were paid, and before Friday this week, we should be up and running and be able to issue permits to our customers who had already paid and not printed their permits, or be it online or manual. So that is an issue that has already been solved. So you can tell the SMEs who have not received who have not been able to print their permits to go to the cybers by Friday and start printing their permits. On the issue of being not able to validate the names of our enforcement officers who normally visit the business premises for inspection, or what the SMEs need to do. I don't think there is any enforcement officer who can visit certain premises for inspection, and then he or she doesn't be able to, is not able to provide, or rather to produce an identification card. So all the officers that normally go out there to do the inspection have got an account identification card. Maybe in the course of this week, maybe tomorrow I'll share a copy. I didn't carry with me here of the ID card which the enforcement officers are supposed to produce. They have the they have the IDs. So whenever they visit your premises, kindly just ask them for the counter ID, and maybe I'm going to share with Georgina a copy of the same, so that they are able to know that this is the ID which is supposed to be produced by the enforcement officers. So they have those IDs. Are we okay there now?
Yes, thank you. What about the food handler certificates and the capacity at the county to do the test for food handlers? Because that's one of our biggest sector. And if you look at what Mr. Gashanja was talking about, most of the SMEs are in this space. They are doing cosmetics and the honey packaging, the peanut butter. And these people require the food handler certificate. I'd like you to make a comment on that, because we've had some bit of backlog or challenge in getting those permits processed.
The food handler certificate is domiciled in public health department, but as far as the challenges facing the issuance of food handlers certificates are concerned, what I know is that the only challenge that is there is about the county being unable to print those permits and issue them to the SMEs. But when it comes to the issue of testing, the reagents are all over. The reagents are there to test, but what they don't have is now the issue of printing, the capacity to print for now, with the issue of the National Bank now being unable to print the permits. But now I'm told that since now they have opened that portal, even the public health department should now be able also to print the food handler certificates for their customers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kongo, and we will continue to look forward to your support. I know there are also other issues where we have movement of goods across the counties. In terms of licenses, there were plans initially where we could use the metropolitan setup for you to engage the surrounding counties for some of the permits to be harmonized. Maybe you could speak to that and what probably we can benefit as we release you for this session, awaiting another general Q&A session.
Okay, thank you, Madam Georgina. As far as the issue of intercounty transfer of goods, I mean transfer of commodities are concerned, we have already advised our officers not to charge, for example, commodities coming from other counties, so long as they are not destined, so long as they are not going to be sold within the county of Nairobi, maybe they are on transit to Mombasa. So long as they are on transit, if they are packed, for example, within Nairobi, and they are not being sold, the Nairobi City County came up with what we call the goods on transit fee, which is very minimal. I know they normally charge 500 shillings, maybe just 500 shillings for a vehicle that is parked maybe next to Wakulima, just to offload some goods to be sold at Wakulima market, and the rest to be taken to other counties. So that is already in the Finance Act 2022, and we are soon implementing it. So that was sorted out.
Thank you very much. Participants, please feel free to put in any questions for Mr. Johnson and Ms. Elizabeth on the chat box for further response. Now we go to our last presenter, where now we focus on the environmental side of things. We welcome Ms. Anastasia Vialu, Senior Compliance Officer at the National Environment Management Authority, to make a presentation. I know this is also one of the areas where we do get a lot of feedback, a lot of support is required. Please, the other presenters, please engage the Q&A chat to respond to questions, and then we'll be winding up the session in the next 15 minutes after a short plenary session. Ms. Anastasia, we hope you can manage 10 minutes or so. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Georgina. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, team. It's a nice opportunity to be here. I've been listening to what the requirements of the SMEs in various authorities. And on our side, I'm going to share the screen so that we can find a point of discussing or deliberation. So Georgina, I'm trying to share my screen.
Not yet. Is it loading?
Yeah, it is. I could be giving opening or starting remarks as I continue to share my screen. National Environment Management Authority. Our main function is to facilitate sustainable development. And we are happy with what the SMEs are doing. We are also happy with the efforts that KAM is doing to enhance SMEs in the country. So I will start by discussing the functions of Nema. Of course, National Environment Management Authority was enacted by a Parliament Act, that is Environmental Management and Coordination Act of 1999.
Anastasia, we still can't see your screen. I'm hoping that you're working on it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm working on it. Can you see it now?
Not yet. Now we can see your computer screen. You can lift the presentation now.
Oh.
Perfect. It's come on board. You can put it in full presentation mode.
All right. Can you still see it?
Yes, we can see you. You can go back on your screen to the presentation. Please, you can go back. Okay, yeah, there we can see the presentation. Now just put it on the presentation mode and close the area that is document recovery. That one you can close to give you more screen space. Down there, document recovery, you can close. Okay, dear, just close that one. Just close it, and then on your left hand of the computer, close the place where you are seeing document recovery, close down there. Yeah, now go to, you see where you expand the presentation, there's an icon there that looks like an inverted jar. Just next to where you increase the screen size. Hapo chini kabisa. Down, down. Down on your screen.
I feel like I just returned like the way it is. Because
okay,
I've
fine.
really tried, I can't see the presentation.
Okay, that's fine. Let's, then you can just increase the screen size. Add some more percentage down there. Now we are okay. You can start now.
All right. I guess someone is controlling it for me from your side.
Okay. Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I can still control it. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for that. We can continue. My name is Anastasia Vialu. I work for National Environment Management Authority in the Department of Compliance and Enforcement. And so today's presentation is going to focus on the functions of Nema and regulatory compliance, as well as the extended producer responsibility. And as I'd said earlier on, Nema is a parastatal under the Ministry of Environment, and it was established by a Parliamentary Act, that is MK 1999. And it has been operational since 1st of July 2002. These are the main functions of Nema, or rather the functions of Nema revolve around those 5 areas where we do research on environmental issues. After researching, we plan on the outcomes of the research. Then we educate or create awareness to the public on the outcomes of the research. And then after that, we start implementation. That is why we have compliance as the 4th function. Then after compliance, we have enforcement. And the main function of NEMA is to exercise general supervision and coordination on all matters of environment. And is also the principal government instrument when it comes to implementation of policies relating to environment. And so we do that through regulating all facilities whose activities may cause a negative environmental impact, or their adverse impact on the environment. We also guide on land use and many other aspects of environment. So in matters of coordination, or rather supervision and coordination, we work with all the other lead agencies of environmental resources. We work with the Kenya Forest Service. We work with the Kenya Wildlife Service. We work with the departments in charge of water resources. We work with all other government agencies that are in charge of one or more environmental resources. We also work with the private sector because their operations also have an impact on the environment. And that is how we have come to also work with the SMEs through KAM. I'm just going to focus on a few regulations that affect or that are likely to impact on the operations or the activities of the SMEs. And in this case, I'm focused on 4 of them. And these are not the only regulations that NEMA deals with. We have others, but the ones that are directly touching the SMEs are these 4. So the first one is the environmental management and coordination, environmental impact assessment, and the environmental audit regulations of 2003. And these are regulations that are relating to matters of environmental impact assessment and environmental audit of different projects. So when it comes to environmental impact assessment, this is an assessment that is done before a project commences. It is done at the planning stage. And the essence of this is to ensure that a project that is implemented put in place environmental and social safeguards to mitigate against negative environmental impacts that could emanate from the operations. In the same regulations, we have environmental audit. Environmental audit is for already existing or ongoing projects. And the essence of environmental audit is to assess the adequacy of the environmental management system that is put in place to see if it's addressing all the negative impacts or there is need for improvement. And so the tools here are the environmental impact assessment license, that is for the starting project. Then there is the environmental audit to improvement orders, just to check or to improve the existing mitigation measures. So all projects that are listed in the first schedule of in the second schedule of the Environmental Management and Coordination Act are expected to be subjected to environmental impact assessment. So there is a threshold that not all projects have to be subjected to EIA, but those that are listed in the second schedule of MCA. And once they're subjected to environmental impact assessment, they are issued with a license. That license is usually valid for 24 months, the period within which the project should start. In case the project does not start within those 24 months, then there is need for application of variation. The other regulation is the waste management regulation. Waste management regulation is a regulation that guides on how different waste streams should be managed, right from generation, segregation, collection, transportation, treatment, and final disposal. This guides on both hazardous waste as well as waste that are not hazardous. It is through this, in these regulations, that facilities are licensed, that is waste management facilities, facilities that are involved in treatment of hazardous waste, facilities that are involved in recycling, or even in reuse of waste material. It is this within this regulation that transporters of different waste streams are also licensed. The other one is the water quality regulations. Water quality regulations, this is it guides on facilities that generate wastewater. And so it gives, it prescribes on how different waste water or different effluent need to be managed for them not to cause environmental pollution. So under this regulation, we have licensing of all facilities that discharge wastewater to make sure that their wastewater parameters comply with the permissible levels. The other one is the air quality regulations, and this is to curb against emission of pollutants to the environment. These are facilities that generate gaseous emissions, and so there are parameters that's supposed to comply with. So the licensing is to regulate to ensure that those facilities operate within the required or the permissible levels of different gaseous components. In the implementation of the regulations to support SMEs, the whole process has been automated. When it comes to application of the different licenses, it is an online process so that applicants or customers can do it at their convenience. They don't need to travel. They don't need to come to the office to do the application. So that is for the ease of doing business. The environmental impact assessment processes have been reviewed. They have been shortened, and even the reports that they're supposed to submit have been further simplified. For projects for low risk projects, they submit what we call summary project report. and that is processed within 5 days. So within 5 days after submission, someone gets a record of decision and they can continue with their project. We have a comprehensive project report that is for medium risk projects, and that takes the processing period is 21 days. And then we have high risk or the study report. This one takes 30 days. Initially, the study report used to take 90 days, but you can see it has been worked down to 30 days to make it easy or to enhance the business. When it comes to the water quality or the effluent discharge license, the applications are again online and they've been decentralized. You can get the effluent discharge licenses from our account in the 47 counties from our offices. So again, that is for the purposes of making it easy and convenient for the SMEs. I will also talk about the process of clearance for primary industrial plastic packaging. For since 2017, we have been doing this and we have been doing it for free. And we have now worked on a system whereby the users will be issued with a clearance that lasts for 3 years. The importers and the manufacturers will be issued with a clearance that lasts 2 years, so that we can minimize the inconveniences that are caused by annual renewals. The authority has also started a program that is assisted compliance program. Through this program, the authority recruits different facilities and takes them through a program of complying with the different regulations. So they like do a control audit of the facilities and see areas where the facilities need improvement and advise them. So it is a journey of working together with the facilities to guide them or to help them in complying in all matters. And this has actually worked for the betterment of our facilities, because they have been able to identify areas of unnecessary losses, and when they work on them, they have noted an improvement even on their returns. So the compliance to the different regulations that I've stated above is ensured through continuous inspections, monitoring of the license conditions, and issuance of improvement notices. So that is as far as the regulations are concerned. Now we have the extended producer responsibility, because we developed a regulation on this. That is the environmental management and coordination extended producer responsibility regulations, which are still in draft form, awaiting gazettement for implementation. And this is APR, or extended producer responsibility, is an environmental management approach in which producers' responsibility extends beyond the market. From that arrow, you can see that the producer just makes the product, places them in the market, and then it hands there as the consumers take over the rest of the responsibility. But the EPR is to ensure that producers take responsibility of their products, even before the manufacturing, all the way to after consumption. And this is anchored on environmental principle, that is polluter pays principle, that whatever pollutant one introduces to the environment, they are responsible of managing it or even cleaning the environment. So in the extended producer responsibilities, the producers will be required to take charge of their product. And in this case, producers involves all those people that introduce products into Kenyan market, either through manufacturing, through importation, through refilling, reselling, or any other means. As long as someone is introducing their branded products in the market, they are termed by these regulations as producers. And when we talk of products, we mean the both the goods and the packaging. These are the objectives of the APR is to provide a framework for establishment of APR schemes. These are schemes to manage the product at post-consumer stage. The APR is also to optimize on life cycle approach to manage the product and associated waste, and also to enhance resource mobilization for management of products and sustainable waste management. To operationalize the polluter pays principles, just as I've stated in the previous slide, and to promote collaborative approach in terms of management of products and their associated waste. This is where the producers will be required by these regulations to join efforts to come together and form a pool of APR scheme where they can manage their products. So that is the essence of the APRs. It focuses on the products after the products are distributed to the market, their consumption, and then after consumption, the collection of the whatever remains after the product has been consumed. Then whatever remains can either be reused, repaired, refurbished, and what cannot be reused then will go for recycling. And after recycling, it goes back to manufacturing process, or what cannot be manufactured within, then it is exported for further processing. So in this cycle, you find that there is no product that is going to be lost. All the products are going to be maintained in circulation for the longest possible time. The extended producer responsibility schemes, these are the measures or the mechanisms that the different producers will put in place to manage their products right from before manufacturing up to post-consumer, or through the circle that we've just looked at in the previous slide. And so these schemes will be aimed at reducing pollution and negative environmental impacts that arise due to products and their packaging. And so the APR schemes or the producers will be required to put in place post-consumer collection and take-back schemes, that is to manage their products at post-consumption. They will also be required to set up individual or collective APR compliance schemes or join existing compliance schemes. And through these schemes, they will then be expected to always update the authority on their products. That is the products they are providing or they are supplying to the Kenyan markets. They will be expected to design or to rather work on their products to ensure that they design products and packaging that minimize waste. They avoid unnecessary waste, just like we have been working with the plastic. We have been very much discouraging secondary packaging. They will be required to design products that are easily reusable, that are easily recovered and recycled. And then they will also be required to appreciate, or rather to use a secondary raw material as part of their products. So these are some of the functions or some of the obligations of the APR schemes. And these APR obligations of APR schemes are the same obligations for the producer, because every producer will be expected either to establish or to join an existing APR scheme. So where a producer decides to establish their own APR scheme, they will undertake all these responsibilities. where producers decide to come together and form a collective EPR scheme, or what we call the producer responsibility organizations, then all these obligations will be undertaken by the producer responsibility organization. And this is already happening for the plastic packaging and as well as the PET bottles. So this is the flow of what will happen for the products after they are provided in the products are supplied to the market. So after they consume the products, that becomes waste, or that's what we call waste. So it is first segregated at the point of generation. The waste should be segregated. Then it is transported or collected by the licensed transporters. Then it's taken to the material recovery facilities for more sorting, so that the plastics or the glass or whatever other material can be sent to the respective recycling or reuse facilities. And of course, there's waste that will go direct to incineration, waste that, for example, like the biomedical waste that will go direct for incineration. And this incineration will be to generate energy. So waste from the material recovery facilities will go for recycling, and then back to manufacturers. And again, it goes back to the consumers and the cycle continues. Organic waste will go for composting and eventually to the farmers. And of course, from that, there will be growing of produce, which will go to the consumers, and the circle or the chain continues. The producer responsibility organization, these are the membership organizations that are set up to assume the legal obligation to implement the extended producer responsibility on behalf of its members. These are the collective compliance schemes I've just talked about, where I was saying that a producer may decide to implement the obligations, the EPR obligations alone, or they may decide to come together and form a collective EPR scheme. So those collective EPR schemes are the ones we call the PROs, Producer Responsibility Organization. And this is what we have in mind, or rather in the EPR regulation, that all the producers, may they be importers, producers, or rather manufacturers, resellers, refillers, or anybody who introduces products in the Kenyan market will fall under in the first level. Those are the producers. Then they will come together and form the Producer Responsibility Organization. And these PROs are supposed to put in place now the mechanisms for post-consumer collection. And that is why they are now contracting the licensed waste collectors to do the collection on their behalf. And after they have done the collection, they have also contracted the licensed waste recyclers to do the recycling of the collected material, which will after that be taken back to the manufacturer for use. So the PROs will work with the licensed waste collectors, will work with the recyclers, will work with the transporters, as well as the hazardous facilities, that is the licensed hazardous facilities. This is just a snapshot of what will happen at the PRO, but there's so much, because the PRO will have to put in place mechanisms to ensure that all these partners or all these stakeholders are working in harmony, and to make sure that there is no lapse when it comes to the management of a specific product. So these are the obligations of the PRO. The obligations of the PRO and the obligations of the producer are almost the same, because in this case, the producer is transferring their obligations, what they're supposed to do on their product, they are transferring it back to the PRO, in which they take membership. Yeah, so that is what I can present for today. And it is good for the SMEs to know that once this regulation comes to force, they will be required to be part of the PROs for the management of their products. And this will work for the good of the SMEs as well as for the environment. Because unless we have good environment, unless we have a good working environment, then development becomes a challenge. That is why I started by saying that the mandate of Nema is to facilitate sustainable development that will cater for the needs of this current generation, not compromising the needs of the future generation. Thank you. Over to you, Georgina.
Thank you, Anastasia, for that detailed and very clear presentation. We are already 25 minutes past the expected time we were to do this, and it is only fair that we also have the time to just ask questions, but I will try and sum up a bit of what I've seen online for our presenters so that we can shorten the Q&A, and then we'll have that session taking place. I think starting from the last, Anastasia, maybe the recurring question is with regard to the application for the permits for industrial packaging. There's always challenges sometimes that there are delays or and the feedback is not coming through. So maybe you can just quickly just highlight the must be done, what must actually, what needs to be there for that application to actually proceed, and the turnaround times maybe in terms of getting the approval. And then just a second one is just a clarification between the authority and the Nairobi water companies who issues the effluent discharge license. So that is will be for you, Anastasia. For the team from KRA, a key question that is coming out here is when we have the wrong entries during the registration that Mr. Mr. Yeager clarified, how do we remedy that? Because it seems like if the error happens, looks like people still have to pay the penalties and to go on. And of course, there's also a question on getting the tax compliance certificate if a business falls behind in terms of payments or paying of their taxes, and they still need this. How can KRA help those? So I have those two for you. Don't have anything outstanding for the KEBS people. So our panelists, you can answer those two, and then I will open up for like 5, 10 to 10 minutes Q&A. Please put your hands up. I will receive the questions as per the order I will see on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgina. I can go first. On the issue of clearance for primary industrial packaging, that is the plastic packaging bags. For first applicants or for initial applicants, the requirements are of course, the business registration certificate, the KRA PIN certificate, the KEBS certificate for the products to be packaged, and a demonstration of tech bag for how they are going to manage their resultant plastic waste. And yeah, those are the only requirements. So if as an artwork of how the sample bag will look like, and a complete artwork or a complete sample must show the product name, must show the details of the manufacturer of the plastic bag, and the manufacturer must be one that has been cleared by the authority, and must also show the details of the end user. The end user is the applicant in this case. So if someone has met all that, then they'll get their clearance within 14 days, that is 2 weeks. Then for renewals, those that do renewals, they need to show, they need to upload a sample bag, not an artwork, a sample bag, because they've been operational, and that sample bag must meet the printing requirements, that is the labeling requirements, the product name, the details of the manufacturer and the end user. And apart from the sample bag, they also need to demonstrate or to provide proof of their take back, how they managed resort and plastic waste in the previous clearance. And this can be through, if they had a contract with the manufacturer, it can be through delivery notes that they delivered back the plastic waste to the manufacturer. It could be if they contracted a licensed plastic waste handler, it could be through the tracking documents. So they need to upload those tracking documents. If they were members of a PRO, producer responsibility organization, that manage their plastic waste, they need to upload their membership certificate. So those are the means or the proof, the evidence that one has managed their plastic waste. Then that is what we require. And apart from that, we also need them to upload a valid KABS certificate for the products they want to manage. If I move away from plastic packaging to the aspect of effluent discharge license, effluent discharge license, there is part of it that is issued by water and sewerage companies for those members of those facilities that are connected to sewer line. All the facilities that are connected to sewer line are not managed by Nema. So their effluent discharge license is from the water and sewerage company, and they need to ensure that facilities that discharge hazardous waste, they have pretreatment plants in place for their effluent to meet the standards to discharge into a public sewer. For facilities that are not connected to sewer line, they obtain their effluent discharge license from the authority. And I said this is to make sure that their effluent is treated to permissible or to acceptable levels. Even for water and sewerage companies, they obtain their effluent discharge license from the authority. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia. I think that has been adequately addressed. KRA, Mr. Julius, there's something on the correction of the wrong registration and the compliance certificate.
Okay, I think Anastasia, I can address that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so this is Susan. If you do have an erroneous obligation, what happens is that a lot of people get an erroneous obligation, and then you will find that they will file, for example, a nil return 1 or 2 months, and then they drop off. So that liability is still in the system, and that liability will have to be cleared for it to be removed. So I know previously there has been a concern raised by our taxpayers regarding the processing of waivers, but waivers are being processed. Actually, currently they are being processed, and you will have to file up to date in such an instance. And then once the waiver has gone through, and for a waiver, you will have to provide supporting documentation that indeed that obligation was erroneous. And then once it has gone through, it is then possible to have the obligation removed. So it is actually what happens, that if you do have liabilities, the obligation cannot be removed while you still have the liabilities. And I think it is clear why, because it is actually a revenue risk if the commissioner removes obligations when a taxpayer may indeed have tax that is rightfully due. When it comes to a tax compliance certificate, you can get a tax compliance certificate even though you do have liabilities that arise out of, for example, a self-assessment. What you do is that you present yourself to your tax service office and you see your debt manager, and the debt manager will enter into a payment plan with you. And once that payment plan has been approved, then you can apply for the tax compliance certificate. You are encouraged, of course, that you should adhere to that debt plan, because what happens is that if you do not abide by the debt plan, it is very possible that the TCC will be revoked, since it has been given to you on the basis of that plan. I do want, if you will allow me, Anastasia, just to mention something small. I did see Madam Shiro raised the question as to what it is that KRA KRA is doing, or the government is doing post-pandemic on the issue of encouraging businesses, and specifically MSMEs, them from the effects of COVID-19. And I did mention something small in the chat, but I do want to just raise it in this platform so that everybody is aware of that. And I will mention maybe 3 or 4 things. And the first, of course, being what we had mentioned, which is the increase of the threshold. Previously the threshold for payment of pay as you earn, deduction of pay as you earn was 16,896. It is now 24,000. So that increase, which means that you are able to the amount at which now you become eligible for pay as you earn is higher. There's also that increase, is the decrease in the turnover tax rate. Turnover tax previously, before the pandemic, was 3%, and it is now 1%. It was also exclusively for individuals and is now open even to corporate bodies. The rate at the threshold, the upper threshold, it was only eligible to companies that had a turnover up to 5 million. That rate has now been increased up to 50 million. And then there are very sector-specific initiatives that have been done. For example, the Finance Act 2021, it excluded residents from payment of digital service tax to encourage the Kenyans in that sector. Also, there was exclusion, for example, in agriculture of tractors, other than, of course, the road tractor, from VAT, which was to also spur growth in that sector. And finally, just to mention, the presidential directive, because the president actually did give a directive that KRA clear the backlog of VAT refund claims as at 29th February 2020. And we can say that as at last year, when that directive was given, the increase in refunds paid compared to the previous year was 25%, and that amount is still going up. And so there are several steps that have been taken. Also, I just saw in the chat that somebody raised an issue regarding VAA, which I know is an issue that may affect those who actually have VAT. And VAA is a VAT automated assessment that happens when there's an inconsistency between the VAT input that you have declared and perhaps the output that the person who you purchased a vatable good that you claimed from declared. And I do want to say that the tax invoice management system has already been introduced. The registration, the enrollment for TIMS, which is the tax invoice management system, is by 31st July 2022, and TIMS actually will do away with the issue of VAA. So that is something that we know has been a thorn in the side of Kenyans, and especially those who are registered for VAT, such which is many manufacturers, and that a permanent solution has actually been introduced in the tax invoice management system. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that feedback. It's Georgina, not Anastasia. Anastasia is our presenter from Nema.
Oh, sorry.
But that's okay. We are the same family. So I have in this order just 4 participants who express interest to ask questions. And in the order in which I saw them appear, that was Stephen Matuguta, Felix Mungai, and Washu Gatoto. I think Anna has dropped out. I had seen a 4th hand. Oh no, she's still on. Sorry, I think the first person has dropped. So Felix, Washu, and Annabelle in that order. Please ask your questions. Let's keep it short to which presenter or institution you want to direct it to. And then for me, I have one that has come up, and this will be addressed by the county after the 4 questions are answered. And this is the differentiation of the certificate that is issued by NACADA from that which is issued by Nairobi on liquor licensing. For us, we view this as some area where we can observe some duplication. So you will answer that at the end, Nairobi County, please. But Felix, Washu, and Annabelle, please present your questions short, precise, to your to the person you wish to, and then we can wind up with some closing remarks from my colleague. Thank you.
All right, good morning. Mine is just a follow-up question in regards to the issue.
Please speak up, Felix. We cannot hear you.
Oh, for that. Mine is just a follow-up question from the last question I asked in regards to the F1BC license. One, of course, it has been responded to, but when you look at the application forms, they are basically emanating from the Nairobi water. But when it comes to issues of, again, enforcement, mostly you find it's Nema that is following up more in regards to that license. So maybe just some clarity on who enforces, that's one. And then once you have the one for Nairobi water, does it cover for both? Or again, you'll have to, get one from the authority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, your question? Okay, let's go to Ashu. I can't pick Stephen on the call. Go ahead.
Hold on. Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning to you.
My question is to Nema. So I've actually written on the Q&A. I made an application on plastic packaging on the 24th of January, 2022, and I got a reference number. So now every time I keep checking on that reference number, even now as we're having the meeting, it keeps telling me that there's no data on that. So that has kind of delayed on production in some of the packaging, because the packaging company will not do it without that reference number, without the license itself. So that for me is a concern. When we talk about 14 days, and yet this is a fast application, and I have basically adhered to all the documents that they have been asked for. 6 months down the line, I still don't have anything to show. That is number one. Number two, on KRA, not KRA, yes, on KRA. So I had a tax issue, and as Susan is saying, yes, you do eventually sort it out, but remember that it takes about a year to sort out a matter when somebody has to constantly keep coming to your offices, where somebody has to constantly keep writing emails to the complaints email that you give, and it is not sorted out. It becomes very frustrating as an SME, an MSME, that we do not get sorted out early enough. We might not have the muscle that bigger companies have. The only muscle we have is our presence coming to the office. We just hope that we can get better ways of sorting out our issues, such that it doesn't have to take me a year. And the same thing happened with KEBS. Unfortunately, it took me a year to get my KEBS certificate, practically 1 year to get my KEBS certification. But then again, realized later that it was actually an individual who was blocking our certification. We did not have to bribe, we did not have to do anything. We just presented the formulation as was, and were able to be sorted when the account manager was changed, either because of a transfer or whatever it is that happened internally. So some of this, we would love to be compliant. We would love to do everything by the book, but we either have the institutions or individuals within the institutions basically just frustrating our efforts as MSME. And I thank God for KAM, because I don't think I'd have been able, if it wasn't for the strength and the backing of KAM, I don't think I'd have had the strength to continue with the kind of business that I'm in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashu. Annabelle?
Hi, good morning. My name is Annabelle Monde, a global HR and business development consultant at Novelty Ventures. My question goes to Anastasia. It's in regards to the regulations on post-consumer product management, in particular, the incinerator energy. Is it possible to get information from Nema in regards to the tower heights, or I have to go to Kenya Airports Authority? Is there any correlation, or is there any sort of partnership? Is this information that I can get at Nema? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Annabelle. And Stephen, do you want to still present your question? Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we've had quite a few that have been directed to Anastasia. She will respond, and I want to have the KRA just clear, because there's a few, it's just about the delays and the sorting issues. So maybe KRA can go in first to respond to questions directed to them. And then KEBS, Mr. Gashanja, if you're able to still get us on the call, you can also respond in terms to the delays in certification and transparency in the process. And also there's a question that was directed to KEBS with regard to the KEBS marks recognition within the EAC, whether these marks or how do they work under the EAC integration. So those two for you, Mr. Gashanja, and then we can clear you for today, and KRA, and then Ms. Anastasia will close for us with the PRO response, the tower height question, the enforcement on the ADL, and lastly, just more clarification in terms of the delay in permit approval. So in that order, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start with, can you hear me? I hope. This is Kashanja of KEBS.
Yes, we can hear you.
Number one, I would like to talk mainly about the EAC. Let me talk of the EAC market with regard to SM mark. Whenever we issue you a permit to use standardization mark, it is applicable within the East African member countries. That is a fact. However, there are two things which may impede. Number one, where there is no East African standard, sometimes you'll find a country usually saying that they might have to do destination inspection. They don't know the Kenyan standard one. Our Standards Development Division, actually, our Department of Developing of Standards, will lodge this under the East African Standards Committee, and which is based in, and they usually have meetings in Arusha, whereby they harmonize the standards within the East African member states. When such a standard has been harmonized, it becomes an East African standard and it is applicable to everyone. Within 6 months, I'm supposed to drop, or Kenya is supposed to drop their national standard, that is a Kenyan standard, in favor of the East African standard. When that happens, there should be no problem with your access to the East African market, and I named them in that order. Likewise, we do reciprocate whenever I find like Rato milk from Uganda with a UNBS standard. It finds its market here directly. If I have one from TBS, we reciprocate the same. So that is what it means whenever you have a standardization mark. It is a notified mark within East African protocols. And if they have an issue with how I did it, they should be able to take it up with me, and perhaps not you. In some instances, we have had whereby there have been issues here and there, or the East African standard may not be articulating in a certain area or something like that, which we try to resolve. But by and large, what I want you to take home is that a standardization mark is applicable within East African member states. That's it. I'll come to what you had talked of delays in I don't know a particular case, but sometimes it could be a misunderstanding between a manufacturer and our staff. Because sometimes things have come like that. I'm not just talking about Washu, I'm talking about generally, whereby there was a miscommunication between the manufacturer and our staff. For instance, a manufacturer will be called on phone, is not available that day, and they might skip now and overshoot the 14 days I talked about of inspection, because sometimes we call you to come and do an inspection at your farm, and sometimes you are not there, and we have to reschedule again, and that can cause a delay. Another thing which can cause a delay is whenever there is, for instance, if you are doing food products, we would like you to have, for instance, the public health certification, the medical certificate for the staff, and the technical know-how of whoever is in charge of production. And then we would like you to develop with us a quality plan, what you would like to be, how you have been performing on how, something that somebody even from out can come and audit against. Sometimes you don't know what is a quality plan. We try to engage you on this. This may cause a delay and you may be unhappy at times because as I said in the beginning, people sometimes rush to KEBS only when they're responding to an order that has been granted somewhere and you are told one of the requirements is to have your product certified. This may lead to dismay because I'm not facilitating you, and actually you can be angry with reason with us. Why am I not facilitating as quick as you need it? So those are kind of things which may be there here and there. I'm not saying our staff are good. Occasionally, we have to look at our staff also and see who is behaving wrong or something, or he has been praised, or a complaint has come over that. I think I want to wind up there, or she can get my contact. But I'm glad she said that she was finally taken through. Thank you.
Thank you, Gasanja. County, you can respond to. Sorry, maybe I lost myself in there. Yeah. Any feedback from the county?
Yes, Georgina.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, now it's about the difference between ACAD and the legal department within Nairobi City County. As you are aware, hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, as you are aware, NACADA is a parastatal under national government. And if you look at the constitution, the function of issuance of liquor was devolved to the counties. And on that note, the county took NACADA to court over the same. In fact, the Nairobi City County took NACADA to court, and the matter was ruled in favor of Nairobi City County. Last year, NACADA put an advert, last year but one, that they will only collect from the import and export only. So if they are still collecting, if they are still issuing the liquor license, then that's very wrong because as you are aware, if you look at the constitution, that function was devolved to the counties. Thank you. They still went back to court, they appealed, but the matter is still being handled by the court. They appealed against that ruling.
Okay, thank you for that update. I think we'll monitor from our membership. If there are challenges, we shall revert to you for further advice. KRA, for your final feedback in terms of sorting out issues, and then we'll close with Anastasia.
Yes, I can respond. I think that the query that was raised was more of an observation on the timeline that it takes for KRA to address complaints or even issues that taxpayers raise. And I do want to say that actually KRA has released to the public, it has made public our service charter, which is the timelines that we intend to adhere to in executing some of those things that are thorn in the flesh of our taxpayers: removal of obligation, addition of obligation, processing of refunds, and the like. And that charter is actually available on the website. And so that is, it's important not just for knowing what particulars and documents you require, also for managing expectations, and also knowing the process, what the process is, because there are sometimes that you may be thinking something is taking a short time, but then actually the particulars that you are supposed to provide or the conditions that you are supposed to have met have not been met. And so that provides that clarity and enables us to work from the same page. Of course, if you have a task that has not been met within that timeline, then it becomes a complaint, and that complaint is addressed not just through the email that has been provided, but also now there is a mechanism for providing complaints that actually goes to KRA's Intelligence and Strategic Operations Department. You can even do it through the CG's office, and so it is an issue that KRA wants to achieve to score highly on our customer satisfaction ratings. And so we're sticking to provide you with information so that you know what it is that KRA is supposed to do within what timelines. And I think that information as at now has been published on the website. And of course, we aspire to meet the timelines that we have committed to.
Okay, thank you, Susan, for that. And finally, Anastasia.
Thank you, Georgina. Thank you, team. It has been nice, quite a fruitful discussion. And on the issue of EDL, I said that facilities that are connected to the sewer line, the EDL licenses are issued, or the effluent discharge licenses are issued by the operator or the operator of the sewer line. That is, if it is Nairobi Water or it is Thika Water or whichever other company, it is a company that charges and issues the effluent discharge license. But for facilities that are not connected to the sewer line, it is Nema that regulates. And the essence here is to ensure that they discharge or their effluent meets the permissible levels according to the water quality regulations. And even the sewer, the water and sewerage companies are also supposed to comply with the water quality regulation by obtaining effluent discharge license from Nema. All facilities that Nema issues with effluent discharge license does the monitoring to monitor whether the facilities are operating within the license conditions. And I want to assume that the ones that Nairobi Water issues also does the monitoring. So that is, I hope that is clear. All those who are connected to the sewer, they will get their EDL or effluent discharge license from the sewer company. All those who are not connected to the sewer, they will be regulated by the authority, that is by Nema. On the aspect of plastic packaging, still someone has an issue. Maybe I've posted a number that you can call. After this, you can maybe call to know what is the problem with your application. But applications that have no issues are usually licensed or cleared within 14 days. There are people who have even gotten their clearances within 7 days or even less, as long as you have attached all the required document. And the application process is self-explanatory. It is online, and every part has guidance notes. When it comes to part C, the part of attachment, it guides you on what exactly you are expected to upload, all the documents that you are expected to upload, and even describes, for example, when it comes to the sample bags, it describes what sample bags meet the labeling requirement. So kindly just comply so that we can together protect the environment. The other question someone was asking on whether Nema gives incentives on people or facilities involved in recycling or waste management, reuse, and so forth. And I would say that at one time the government had given had lifted taxes connecting to importation of waste recycling or waste treatment facilities. And I think that was either 1 or 2 years. But this is something that the government will still be looking in terms of promoting circular economy, even in the national sustainable waste bill. There are proposals of waiving some of the charges that are usually charged on waste management. So we have good things in store for those that are involved in circular economy, and I suppose most of the SMEs have also a stake in this. The other question was on the tower height. Tower heights in most cases is controlled by the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority because of the risk it can pose to aircrafts. But all in all, any tower height needs to be subjected to environmental impact assessment. So information on tower heights is usually obtained from the KCAA, that is the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. I don't know whether there was a question on when the EPR is going to be implemented. The EPR is in the process of being gazetted. We are still waiting. Once the gazettement is done, there is a transition period of 6 months. And this 6 months is for producers to plan themselves or to prepare themselves for the implementation. The very first thing that will happen once the regulation is gazetted is the registration of all producers or products in the first schedule. That those are the products to be subjected to the EPR. So all those producers will be required to register with the authority once the regulation is gazetted. Then, of course, we will continue sensitizing and educating the sector, that is the SMEs and others that are target of this regulation, on how they're going to comply once the regulation is in place. I think I've answered to all the questions, but I want to make a plea to the SMEs. I have noted many SMEs are doing packaging with plain plastic bags, and that is not permitted. It is good for you to comply because, for one, we are doing it for free. We are not charging anything. So we have no reason, as in you have no excuse or hindrance why you are not complying. Those packaging peanuts, others packaging crisps, I have seen a lot of them along Mombasa Road. They are just using plain plastics. And kindly, those also using the flimsy, very flimsy plastic bags that were banned. Let us stop and use the plastic bags that are being manufactured by the cleared manufacturers. Let us work together. It is our nation. It is one heart. I just came from the World Environment Day celebrations, and the theme for this year is one heart. We have just one heart. There is no other heart that we can get in case we have degraded the one that we have. So let us work together. Let us not look at it as a Nema function to protect the environment. Everyone has a duty and an obligation to safeguard and enhance the environment. So SMEs, please, let us work together. If you have any other question, feel free to visit our offices in South Sea, that is along Pop Road, and we will assist you. I've posted our number. You can also launch your complaints through that number. It's our office line. Yeah, thank you, Georgina, and thank you, team. It was a nice forum.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Thank you very much, our presenters. Indeed, an engaging session. There can never be enough time for this question. So I will give my colleague Duta, who has put this together in terms of mobilizing participants, to just say a word, and then I will sum this up. Please use the contacts provided by the various panelists or myself to reach out for any further area of clarity. It's always good to give feedback to the authorities so that we also know that whatever we are doing is actually making impact. So over to you, Nduta, to just give your vote of thanks.
It's indeed have been a great forum. And it's also been a pleasure to have all of you participate in today's KAM SME Bootcamp on regulatory compliance. And we hope that the multidisciplinary presentation and discussions have been informative for all of you. And therefore, this will create awareness of the requirements for businesses in the manufacturing sector, especially the SMEs, and also drive compliance with regulatory requirements in the country. Access to regulatory information has been raised as one of the key challenges affecting SMEs, and this forum sought to address this. So we also hope that the structure of this forum has ensured that we remained engaged through the presentation, and of course apologies for the small hiccups due to intermittent internet from our speakers. So so for this forum to have been successful, it is because of you all here today. We therefore wish to express our appreciation to the government partners, to everybody who presented. And so Ms. Shiro Waithaka, who is our KAM board member and also the managing director of FundKits, Julius Yega of KRA, Ms. Susan Jeru from KRA, Joseph Gashanja from KEBS, Anastasia Valu from Nema, Mr. Johnson Akong of Nairobi County, and Ms. Elizabeth Njau of Nairobi County, and our who is the KAM head of KAM Consulting and Business Development. And then to all our members and all the prospective members and the KAM Secretariat. And the Secretariat, this forum was organized between KAMC, that is the SME Development Subunit, and the PRAO, that is the Policy Research and Advocacy Unit, and Membership and Communication Departments. We appreciate the efforts of the KAM team members, that is Georgina, Austin, Sam, Communication Team, Regional Coordinators, and Sector Liaison Officers. Lastly, I want to thank our moderator, Georgina Washuka, for engaging the forum today, ensuring that we achieved our objectives. Indeed, we will circulate the presentation from this meeting today to all the participants for the further references. So thank you once again, and we wish you a wonderful afternoon. Over to you, Georgina.
Thank you, Duta. I appreciate you too and everybody present. I think just a point to note, probably next time, let's get some more time. And probably let's consider putting the presenters in one room so that we can improve the clarity. Otherwise, thank you everyone. Have a blessed afternoon, and please engage us. We are here for you. All the best, and wish you growth in your business. Wish you more easy time in terms of complying. Thank you to the authorities. Thank you for making time to be with us. It is not taken for granted, like my colleague has said. Do have a good afternoon. We shall share the presentations with you. Thank you. You can leave at your own pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you and bye.
Bye.